So I just wanted to do a quick refresher of the key ideas about the mid-segment theorem. And I was going to run through one problem with you. If we need to do another one after that, then we can. But you got this worksheet all about the mid-segment theorem. And what we're going to look at now is I'm going to draw a triangle with a mid-segment in it. And we don't need to remember a whole lot about this, but a mid-segment connects two midpoints. And what are some things we know about a triangle with a mid-segment? So let me kind of help set up what I'm looking for. The mid-segment and this side right here, what do we know about it? Say that again? There you go. The mid-segment, whatever length this is, x, is going to be half of the other side, so we can write it like this. If the mid-segment is x in length, this is going to be 2 times that, 2 times x. What else do we know about these two lines? They're parallel. There it is. So these two are going to be parallel to each other, which is important to know because we can use some angle relationships as part of these problems. Okay, and the last little bit, remember these are midpoints on the side. So that means we're going to have congruency right here. And I should also mention that this is the easiest of the theorems that we're going to learn. So you want to make sure that you're really mastering this one now and any types of problems that can come up. But this right here, this diagram, if you want to mark this down. All right, yeah, so make sure you've got this, and this is also on the worksheet from Friday, so if you have that available, you don't need to necessarily copy this over. But with this, you have all the information you need, and you can just use this as your reference. Okay. So let's look at some problems. Is anyone still trying to write anything? Okay. And if so, I can help you with that. So let's look at, now there's a bunch of these problems at the beginning that I'm not going to go over. They're more straightforward, easier setup problems. So if you have individual questions on those, we can do that. I wanted to look at these last 8 problems. And I'm not going to go through one of these. I'll go through one of the next ones. But notice that these are expressions. And we did one of these on Friday. So we went through one where you have to remember stuff about the mid-segment in order to solve for x. Now these four, 9 through 12, you're solving for x. But I want to draw the distinction between these and the next ones, which look the same. But look at your instructions here. It says find the missing length indicated. You're not just solving for x and calling it good. Now you have to plug x back into it and solve for a missing length. So which one of these do you guys want to do?
3.
Well, we're looking at 13 through 16. 16. Okay, we're going to find VW, and that's our main goal. But the first thing we need to do is just set up an equation in order to solve for x. We do need to know x first. So knowing what you know about mid-segments, how could we set up an equation to solve for x? So maybe a simpler question. Oh, go ahead. There we go. Okay, so the other thing just to think about is that we know with mid-segments, this mid-segment, I know it's a little bit hard to see up on the screen, but that mid-segment is half the length of the parallel side. So if we have 2 times x plus 15, that has to equal the parallel side, which is x plus 21. Does that make sense? All right. And this is kind of a basic equation structure that you're going to be wanting to think about with mid-segment theorem. So you're always going to have 2 times your midsegment equals the parallel side. In fact, we could add something to that effect wherever you want to. I'll just put it nearby. But it's always going to be 2, well, not always, depends on how the problem is set up. But frequently it's going to be 2 times the midsegment equals the parallel side. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going through this, and that'll make your life a lot easier. So we'll just go through and solve the rest of this. So 2 times x plus 15, if we distribute, we'll get what? 2x plus 30 equals x plus 21. Now we can solve from here. What are you going to move first? What is it?
30? Or it's minus subtract 30.
Okay, we can subtract 30. All right, so that cancels. You got 2x equals x minus 9. And then subtract the x. All right. So we've got x equals negative 9. Now remember, that's not a length. So you can have a negative x, and that's also not our final answer. We need to solve for the length of VW. So all we have to do is go back here and plug that negative 9 into that x right there. So now we've got VW equals negative 9 plus 15. So it is 6. There it is. So, I mean, that's about as difficult as it gets for a problem. So if you can handle that and it makes sense for you, then midsegment should not be a difficult theorem to kind of master. So just spend today, you got about 15 minutes to go through this and really understand it. Tomorrow we're going to look at proportions to prepare for our next theorems.